Hey everyone, welcome to today's podcast. Our guest of today is Nishant. He's the CEO of Vyorius. Nishant, why don't you tell a little bit more about yourself and what your company is doing?
Sure. First and foremost, thank you so much for having me here, Joy. It's a pleasure. Hi, everyone. Like Joy mentioned, I'm Nishant. I'm the founder and CEO of Vyorius. And at Vyorius, we are building the backend digital infrastructure to run scaled drone deployments. We have been working on this since 2021, and now we are kicking this ahead, rolling things out. So happy to be here, Joy, and happy to answer all the questions that you have for me.
Amazing. And why did you start Vyorius?
That's an interesting question. Most of the entrepreneurs we have inclination to solve problems, and I would say that's one of the reasons for me as well. So I was doing my bachelor's in India, and at the time while I was doing the bachelor's, we had this problem statement that cities are getting denser, and the airports, they take so much infrastructure. So why shouldn't we have aerial vehicles which can land and take off from least possible area? And that's how we actually started. So my first company, we built an amalgamation of both a helicopter and conventional plane together, aerial vehicle which can take off vertically. But when you have to actually fly, they fly like a normal airplane. So, the optimization and efficiency is as comparable to real airplanes. That's how I started. And in our journey, we realized that there are, bigger and better pain problems, some inherent problems. So we didn't stop just on building the systems. We realized that, we need to deploy them to understand exactly what other problems we can solve. So we realized that infrastructure is a bigger hassle when it comes to disconnected areas. And I come from India. The terrainous areas are something which do not have great land infrastructure, so as to say. The idea pivoted in terms of not just creating an aircraft, but using that to deliver goods. And then we converted it into a drone delivery setup. And that's sort of my journey. And while doing that, we realized that now you cannot actually deploy these systems at scale unless you have a sort of a backend infrastructure supporting it. And that's how I ended up doing what we are doing at Vyorius right now. So that's sort of the journey. But every other entrepreneur, we were chasing problems, realized different solutions, and learned newer things and pivoted in our way. That's essentially why I started.
Love what your story. Like, part of being an entrepreneur is that we love to solve problems. It's part of like what we love doing, and also how your way is very interesting. How you kind of started like one thing and then you kind of built on that. But then while building on the thing you were starting, you kind of noticed something different, and then you kind of built on that as well, right? I think this is a very nice and very natural way of doing stuff. It's not just, hey, out of the blue, you just start something. There's a depth behind what you're doing.
That's very interesting, actually. And I was reading somewhere that usually there are two kind of entrepreneurs per se. There are revolutionaries and there are discoverers. And when I began my journey, I always used to think myself as a revolutionary, someone who wants to come and disrupt a market and create a otherworldly solution altogether. That's how I started. But then in my journey, while talking to multiple different stakeholders, understanding problems more, I realized that it's not actually the job of a revolutionary to disrupt a market. It's actually a discoverer's job to discover more, discover better, discover depth, and build on top. Just like you mentioned, it basically becomes part of a puzzle that you keep solving, and then you end up figuring out what you eventually want to do. Yep, that's essentially true.
I love it. And what you're also saying, like you have two types of entrepreneurs, right? But I think the discovery phase is very nice because then you actually start to discover from a genuine curiosity. And while you're doing that, you're way more likely to actually see where you can offer value, right? Instead of you trying to disrupt the market and you trying to put a perspective on people while they may not really need that. And I guess that's a problem maybe we all have faced. And sometimes that's a problem we maybe all have faced during being an entrepreneur. We are really passionate about something, and then we just try to force it into the market, but it never really works if you're not actually open to discover what's going on in there, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's always good to be a little bullheaded time and again, but eventually you have to be open enough to understand what the market is saying, and also to pick on signals, because those signals can actually lead you to even a bigger and a better play altogether. You're absolutely correct. It's not about closing yourself and working on what you believe in, but it's actually opening yourself up and see that what you believe in is actually echoing out there as well, and change your belief while you're at it. So definitely.
Very nice. And out of all the companies you can work with, right? What is your ideal customer profile out of all the companies which are out there? If we're talking about like curiosity and which has the most value out of what you do.
A very interesting question. So when we begin, our journey, we realize that people who are going to be deploying drones at a larger scale needs to be sort of our ICP. these are the people who need complete digitization, automation, reduction of, workforce, humans altogether in the entire value chain. But while at it, we realize, sort of there's a thing happening on the other side of the spectrum within this space, which comes from the manufacturer side. We realize that in today's age, when we are talking about deploying huge volume of drones, it's not actually the operator who has the huge volume right now. It's actually the manufacturer. So they are the people who are manufacturing hundreds and thousands of drones and deploying it within spread across multiple different operators. And these are the people who have the problem of volume. So initially we did start with the operator mindset, but then we realized that we have to move towards the manufacturer side. So talking about the ICP that you asked at this point in time while we stand, our ICP is basically a small to mid-size drone manufacturing company to begin with that is so focused on taking care of their supply chain issues, ever-changing product demands, regulatory compliances, type certifications, that they do not have the time and the capability to invest a lot in terms of the software solution out there. We come in and we be like, you're already doing amazing in terms of your hardware. Let us patch with our enterprise layer of the solution and we can sell together. So that's one. And then once that happens, and definitely these drones end up with operators, then automatically as a channel partner as well, we end up with operator and help them resolve what we were already started with to help the operator. So that's sort of the journey that we have right now, where the ICP has completely changed from initially the operator to the manufacturer right now. And that's what we are targeting at this point in time.
Do you use AI in Vyorius as well?
Yes, AI is actually a very big thing, big part of the solution that we are creating. We provide 3 layers of AI. The first thing is we are creating an AI pilot, allowing a single human operate multiple drones simultaneously, where the AI's job is to deconflict and provide collision avoidance. We do future predictions and then allow the AI to control these drones at the network layer. Other, we provide vision as the AI capability, as well as the interfacing with these systems. So talking about LLMs and LAMs, so you can now communicate directly with the system, with our system, and it basically controls the drones and provide the commands. And there's a large action model that we are building associated with the robots itself. So now the robots understand what you mean, and then execute a command. So that is core to our product. But other than that, when it comes to the daily life cycle of a company, of a startup, and within that as well, now ChatGPT, Apollo, all these things have become, even Cursor and all, to take care of the code base and all of that. So I can say that there's a lot of AI involvement happening at the point of running a company itself. So that's sort of our AI integration that we are doing.
Man, and you like starting Vyorius. You already told me about like first you were doing something and then you were like looking at where you can add like the most value. And from this point, you are where you are right now. And what are some of the biggest challenges you have faced towards growing the business?
Right. It's a very interesting question. So we come from a market which is highly regulated. When we talk about drone deployments, every single geography, every single regulatory body have their own understanding in terms of how they want these drones to be deployed. So that brings a heavy challenge in terms of understanding how we help our partners, our manufacturers, our customers deploy them at scale. Specific to that, then it becomes a game of either you wait and watch or you build to help regulatory bodies to reduce their sort of bottlenecks and their drawbacks. And that's exactly what we have been working so far on, trying to make these systems highly transparent, the data well authenticated, so we can provide to regulatory bodies, insurance bodies, help regulators understand how these systems can be deployed. And furthermore, our regulators have a bigger hassle to manage how an AI pilot will come into picture and, engage with their airspaces. So these are the things that create a bottleneck and it is very focused to drones per se, anything that deals with national security. So those are the challenges that we are still struggling with, but we are building solutions based on the challenges and the kind of things that we're facing and our customers are facing to move ahead.
Amazing. That's also part of being an entrepreneur, like facing challenges and then like having this learning curve, like being really open to learn. Because that's what once you're really open to learn, that's where things actually can move pretty quick.
Absolutely. It's always about learning, and everyone gives you a new insight. So the more number of people you talk to, the more insights you get and your solution becomes better.
Amazing. What are some of the ways like Vyorius is currently acquiring new clients?
Right. Interesting question. I mean, we are a small team, a small startup, don't have a very special business oriented team at this point in time. There's like 2, 3 people who run it. by themselves. We use LinkedIn a lot. We are running, new campaigns on LinkedIn. Now we are actually putting 1 minute video sort of a content every single week. That sort of drives a lot of inbounds for us. We reach out in the industry, try to create a conversation around what we are building, and that also helps us to learn. And people can come and provide their feedback, positive, negative, and you can iterate on it. So we are using LinkedIn as a big lead sourcer for us. And other than that, I mean, we have a few tools, Apollo or HubSpot. We can track and we can do these things. But I would say that LinkedIn is our main thing at this point in time.
Yeah, very nice. It's like there's a very nice place to actually create like awareness, what you were saying, right? So you can educate people what they're doing, but at the same time you can learn about the people who are giving feedback on what you're posting. So it's like it's a double thing. You're learning, and while you're learning, you're also educating your people. That's amazing. And if you are with with experience you're having, right, and with where Vyorius is right now, and with all the lessons you've learned, and if you look back, like, is there one thing you would have done differently with the knowledge you have right now?
I think your failures define your success. I believe a lot in that. So I wouldn't change a single thing. I would still want to fail as many times I have so that I can have those learnings, maybe fail faster, right? But I think so far it has been a really great, amazing learning experience. And I believe that I can bank on that to now build something bigger and better. So that's what I think. All I would say that, for my past self, I would just say that, talk to more people and try to understand their problems more in depth rather than, trying to be bullish about what you're building. I think that's the only thing. And that's just a suggestion for me. But I think everyone goes through a curve of that understanding to come to a point where they're like, hey, I want to listen more and, talk less. But yeah, I think I won't change anything as such.
Amazing. I love what you're saying because I do believe also it's part about. I saw a video like I think 1 month ago, and this guy was saying he was an entrepreneur as well, and he was teaching. He had a service, and he was saying life is about failing forward. Just being completely open for the action, failing, and completely not being afraid of that, because we want to do things in the most perfect way, but life is not perfect, and if you want to do things perfect, you're never ever gonna grow.
Absolutely. It's never about being perfect. It's always about learning and iterating. That's something that I have learned so far in my life as well.
Amazing, man. And if you had like think about, have you ever? Yeah, you could probably watch Harry Potter.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So if you think on Harry Potter, and he had like this kind of magic wand, right, where he could do like he could say stuff like, and then when he says something, there's some kind of magic is happening. If you're looking at your business and you had like a magic wand, with this magic wand you have in your hand, you could solve any problem in your business with the snap of a finger. Like, what problem would it be?
Wow, that's a very interesting. I think it's a nice to have a problem if I have a magic wand. So I think I would just go around. I'll just magically find all my customers, everyone in the world who basically have a problem that I can solve. All of them come on board on the same page and I talk to them. I think that would be like the easiest job for me to do. So I guess that's the magic that I will be looking for.
Yeah. Amazing. So actually, like with all these customers coming to you, you being able to offer value to a lot more customers and businesses, basically, right?
Yep, exactly, exactly. And come in front of them, right? Because so much is getting lost. There is less awareness within the market. People are struggling figuring things out. We don't know them, or maybe they don't know us. So if that layer can go away, and we can be in touch with the kind of people that need a solution, and vice versa, then the life will become very easy, right?
I love that because like there's always a saying, right? Like we don't know what we don't know. So people might really need your service, but they don't even know that they might need it. And reaching out to those people who maybe even don't know they need it, and make them aware that what they have is like what you have can offer a lot of value to them. I think that's a very nice way to see it.
Absolutely.
And what are like if you're looking in the future, right? Vyorius, we're looking into the future like 6 to 12 months from now. Like what are some of the goals you have for the company in the next 6 to 12 months?
We are looking to actually deploy about 1,000 drones in 6 to 12 months, and that's something that we are working on currently. I guess this is what we'll be chasing. We have already things going on, so I hope that we're able to do so. That's exactly what I'll be chasing.
Amazing, man. If you're like for the people who are watching this, I think you already did share a lot of value, and they're thinking like you could give them some advice. They might be in your situation where you are right now, or they're kind of starting some idea, like what kind of advice would you give to them?
I would say that people go into the dilemma of thinking through a lot. Like everyone wants to think through everything and, try to be perfect before they can even start. I would say that stop doing that and just go do the action. I think action is much better than, anything that you can think about, and anything that you will plan for will eventually break down as soon as you get out in the real world, as soon as you talk to your first customer, as soon as your product touches the first customer. So everything's going to break down. So why wait? Why not just do the action and just get there faster so you can move on? And I would say, and I think it doesn't matter which stage you are in, because even though just the complexity of the action changes, but the idea remains the same, that you always have to do that, quick ship of the product, talking to the new customer, trying to figure out the next contract. So just do the action. Don't think too much about, how you're going to do it. Just do it.
Yeah. I love what you're saying, because once you're taking the action, there's a learning curve, and many people they just get stuck into and paralysis, and then nothing will ever happen, right? And then there's no learning curve, there's no manifestation of your goals, there's just no movement at all, right? And if the people were watching this podcast, how can they find and connect with you? They're thinking like, I want to learn more about it, what you guys are doing.
I mean, you can definitely find me and my company on LinkedIn. You can search Nishant Rana and you will find me there, or you can search Vyorius. That's Vyorius, and you can look at what my company is doing. Other than that, if you want to shoot me an email, then you can directly shoot me an email at nishantsingrana@vyorius.com. I'll be really happy to talk to you and share more about what we're doing.
Amazing, man. Nishant, thank you so much for you being here. Thanks for sharing all the value. I hope everyone who's watching, I hope you learned something from it. I think there's some very valuable advice, especially about taking action and just doing stuff instead of waiting. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I make sure to drop down all the links of Nishant down in the description so you can find him and Vyorius. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much.